Again, I want to welcome everybody here, wherever you're joining us from. We're glad to have you here on this webinar. Again, my name is Casey Taylor. You might have seen me at any one of the live trainings that you've done if you've attended any of our live trainings online, or maybe some of our think tanks. And for those of you who might not know, these Pro Spotlights are our opportunities to get to introduce you to some of the amazing users that we have within the JobTread family who also came to Connect conference this past January and shared with you, the broader JobTread audience, who were also at the Connect conference, from very specific things that they learned. And so they were part of our education sessions. And so they came and shared. And so our guests today were one of those breakout session tag team speakers. And so these Pro Spotlights are our opportunity to get to give you, the broader community, the opportunity to also get to learn from them, which is especially helpful for any of you who didn't get to come to Connect. But also, we've got Connect coming up right around the corner. So you're going to get to hear from people like our guests today at Connect if you choose to come. But again, these Pro Spotlights are meant to be for any of you who can't travel and the expense is too great, or you're just so busy, guys. You guys are doing such incredible work all throughout the world. This is your opportunity to get to learn the things that they've learned, the wisdom and insights that they've developed over their time, utilizing the software within their workflow. And so we came here to create this, to give them a space to share that wisdom with you. And that's what continues to make JobTread in my opinion, the preeminent software solution for construction project management. Is not just that the software is good, it's that we have an incredible community of people who have invested into the community, back into the community, the things that they've learned. They're asking good questions. You guys are asking for really specific updates. And when those things really hit, you're just affecting the whole community because we do listen. And so that sort of symbiosis between the JobTread team and our incredible users is what makes this whole software just such an incredible place to be a part of this big family, of this JobTread family. And so we're thankful for you. We're thankful for your businesses, and we're thankful for the partnership that we have with you. And so again, this Pro Spotlight is our opportunity to highlight a couple of our customers who you'll probably notice look a lot alike. That's because they're related. They are brothers. And they shared with us this last year in January, I guess this year in January, earlier this year, here in Dallas at the 2025 Connect conference. And so I want to introduce you guys to Ryan Biehl, who is the founder and CEO, and his brother, Chase Biehl, who is the founder and CFO of Biehl Brothers Contracting out of Cincinnati, Ohio. The Biehl Brothers and their company, Biehl Brothers Contracting, have been customers with us since August of 2023. So they've been with us a while, man. They've been riding with us. And we are pumped to have them as a part of our JobTread family, but also having gotten a chance to really get a chance to get to know them, chat with them. They're great guys. You're going to love them. I feel like they're going to make you laugh. They're going to teach you a lot of stuff, and you're going to be glad that you came. But we're also really excited to have them here on the Pro Spotlight. So before I turn it over to them, I do want to just set a couple ground rules. I do this every time we do these Pro Spotlights, just to make sure that everything is flowing really well, because you guys are going to have comments. You guys are going to have questions. And so we've got two specific places for those types of communication. If you've got thoughts, and I know the Biehl brothers are probably going to ask you some questions just to get a little bit of a feedback, reflection on how you're thinking, those types of communications, anything that you're like, oh, that's great, I love this, or hey, that was really interesting, put that in the webinar chat. So Zoom has two boxes for communication, one for that webinar chat, one for the Q&A. So if you have any comments or any thoughts, put those in the webinar chat. If you have any questions, we are going to have a time at the end of this webinar for Q&As, and I want you to pop your questions over to the Q&A box, which is, again, a separate box from that webinar chat. Pop those questions in there, and then I will answer any questions if it's just general JobTread questions. But if you have questions specifically for them, I will freeze them, and then we will hold some time at the end for a Q&A for you to be able to answer those questions. And there's obviously space for follow-up to some of that too, because we always usually have follow-up. So that's what we're going to do. We do have the webinar chat, comments, any thoughts or reflections there, any questions in the Q&A, and then I'll answer it. I'm going to go ahead and answer the one question that everybody always asks maybe 4 or 5 times, and somebody will probably ask it, and that's okay too. This will be recorded. It's going to be put up on the Facebook group tomorrow, JobTread Pros, and we'll also have it on our website, both internally facing in the help desk in your software, but then also in the external facing software. And that'll all happen sometime tomorrow in the afternoon. Okay. So let's jump over into the presentation. The Biehl Brothers presentation today is going to be called Streamlining for Sanity and Exceptional Customer Care, which I love. So everybody in the chat, please give a warm JobTread welcome to today's Pro Spotlight guests, our presenters, Ryan and Chase Biehl. Hey, guys.
Hey. Oh, thanks, Casey. Appreciate that warm introduction, my friend.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you guys.
He's got the voice of radio DJ, doesn't he? All right. Yeah. So we're going to take you guys through this. And just once again, there'll be questions at the end, and we love to answer questions. My brother is going to start with a couple of general questions for you to just kind of ponder in your mind as we get the creative juices flowing here.
Yeah. So one of the things, statement I want to just have you keep in mind. Have you ever heard the statement, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy? So keep that in mind as I ask these questions, right? So who out there has a written plan every single day? And then let's one up on that. If you are a planner on a day-to-day basis, as you leave your job today at 4:55 or whatever that is, do you have your tomorrow planned today? And we're all friends here. This community is a safe place, as my brother says. And pop in that chat, who just feels a little overwhelmed? Like this year right now is a little bit of a respite from what you're doing right now. We feel you, and we want to come to you and help you a little bit. And think about this very specifically, if you would. Try to actually come up with a word. What do you give up every day to run your business? Think about that. And we just want to make sure that we're giving you some tools to make you stay effective on the daily.
So what are we really trying to do today? So the biggest thing is, the first step is to just come together as a community, because we love everybody. We love talking to everybody, meeting everybody, connecting with everybody. And Ryan and I have been in business for 21 years. And in that amount of time, we've made a lovely pile of mistakes. And what we want to do is share some of those mistakes that we've made today with you, so you don't make them all on your own, and maybe you can make new and exciting mistakes on your own and tell us about them down the road.
The idea that we're talking about today is, how many people here have tried to work harder, work longer, work faster, right? We've tried all that. Our goal for here today is, let's slow down, let's take a beat, and let's talk about planning harder.
And we're going to take some time to recognize that your culture and your company is paramount to all. When my brother and I first started this, we didn't have a whole lot but a pickup truck and a promise. And the thing that kept us alive was our culture that we managed to preserve long before we were able to offer things like paid health insurance, paid holidays, PTO, that kind of thing.
And, time is the most precious commodity that we all have. And again, thank you for spending some of that with us today. We don't take that lightly. You never get that back. But along those lines, you never get that back. So, you can't save time, you can't bank time. The best that you can do is manage it and spend it wisely. And that is what we want to keep the focus on today.
We're going to help you give you some resources to help you decide when to delegate and when to train other people. Because if you have an amazing business, which you probably do if you're part of the JobTread community, you have amazing things that you can pass on to somebody to elevate somebody and give them an incredible opportunity. And that's what we're all about.
So other thing too is, and this is something that Chase has really helped me a lot over the years. A lot of times we're busy, right? Our heads are down, and sometimes we just need to celebrate. We need a little something to celebrate. So today we want to celebrate that this is a podcast. We're not wearing any pants.
Nope.
No, sorry. But
never do.
The real thing is that we want to celebrate that we're about 5%. Everybody, 5% of the industry, everybody related to JobTread, all of you who are in here right now, we're a part of a really close group of people who are trying to make ourselves better and make this industry better. And I bet if you look around, you've made an impact in your community, in your world. And man, let's just take a minute and just celebrate that and breathe that in for a minute.
So why is this so important? There's several reasons. The first one, the clients are first, right? And the clients trust you. So often with what we do, the clients, they just assume you're qualified. They don't know how long this is going to take. Usually they have a specialty in some other business, which has allowed them the income, the disposable income to hire people like us. And that's why it's so important, because they don't know, and they're putting all their trust in us to do the best thing possible.
And I don't know about the rest of you. We love this business. Chase and I feel like this is absolutely our calling in life. This is what we're supposed to be doing with our life. And we love this business. We want to make sure that you all bring a sustainable, profitable business to this world. We know that we want to be here, and with enough people like us, all of us job treaders, if you will, this is like the tide. This community will raise up the industry that we love and bring everybody up with it.
And one of the things that's so important, and it's often associated with vanity, right? Like, oh, we run X% of profit. But so often profit is overlooked as what it should really be looked at as security, right? And when my brother and I first started this business, I started making this joke, and it's an awful joke, and I'm going to share it with you today. So does anybody here know the difference between a contractor and a pizza? A pizza can feed a family. Oh, it's a terrible joke. It's never gotten any better in the 21 years we've been doing it, but it's a lot less relevant now for our company than it used to be. But there was a time when it was very powerfully relevant because we didn't have the profitability. And that's one of the reasons we're here to help you now, is because we have some profitability and some flexibility, and we want to help other people. Because if there's no profit, there's no promise for the future. Businesses that are not profitable do not stay in business.
Yeah, you said last time that joke's so old it could buy us a beer, right?
It could buy us a beer. Yeah.
So, a call to action. What is this about today? Okay, so this is not rocket science. Okay, this may not be a lot of new content, and that's a good thing right now. One of the things I love about this business is, we go to JobTread Connect and we take in information. We watch a lot of JobTread videos, and we read Stephen Covey and, all of these amazing people. A lot of times we're really well read and educated in the industry. But a lot of times what we found out is people didn't do anything with the information. As we present, we get a chance to present here and there. We've realized that a lot of people, there's a lot of information, but not necessarily a lot of application. And that's what we want to challenge you on here today. It used to be, before we had all this technology and, these crazy phones in our pockets and tablets and, infotainment screens in our cars and all that it would take somebody hearing something about 7 times, about 7 messages before it would change somebody's thinking, create a new habit, something like that. And I kind of feel like these numbers are going to keep changing, but they say that number that was 7 is now more like 23. So the idea is that we might have come across a lot of this stuff before, but in a very busy, jumbled world, how much of it made it into the application in your life?
We want you to leave here not inspired to change someday, right? Because so often in our lives, someday is code for never, Before you know it, the time has passed. Someday I'm going to learn to play guitar. Someday I'm going to do this or that or the other. We want you change to inspire. When you leave here today, when you go back to whatever it is you're doing, we want you change to inspire, to lift up others. Someone who inspires us in our local community, his name's Rick Meyer. He's in a competitive building and company just like ours, and he works 42.5 hours a week. And I don't know many business owners that work 42.5 hours a week, but Rick has managed to pull it off. And what that is an 8-hour day with a half hour every day for lunch. And to us, that's deeply inspiring, and that's one of the things we're in hot pursuit of. And Biehl Brothers Contracting here, we're a work in progress. We're in the trenches with you. And we're in hot pursuit just like you are.
Yeah, we're not selling anything today. So again, remember, you gave up your time to be here. You had to say no to something to say yes to this. What did you say no to? Why did you say no to it to come here? Sometimes, as that grows, pay attention to that and make sure that you get information that helps you remember why you made that decision and why you decided to show up. One of the things that we say here a lot, and we had to kind of get over this, Chase and I did over the years, is we always say, don't be that person. Don't be that person. You will never, ever, ever hear, or at least we haven't, right? We have never heard, this beep, beep, beep in the front of our office here. The dump truck of blessings and time has never showed up and dumped a tandem axle truckload of all the resources we need to fix everything out in our front lawn so we could just do it at our leisure. It's never happened. Stop waiting for it to show up. James Clear says in the book Atomic Habits, he says, visualize compounding 1% changes. We can all make a 1% change today. After this podcast, there's still time to make a 1% change. And you get to pick. So mathematically, I have not worked this out. I don't know, maybe we should do a spreadsheet one day, but James Clear says, if you're 1% worse every day, you will only be 100, or if you're 1% worse every day, you'll be 100% worse in a year, mathematically. And mathematically, with compounding 1% changes, you can be 27 times better this time next year. So while we don't think any of us are going to be wearing capes this time next year, the math is really clear. It really indicates that you can accomplish a 1% change every day, and what that amounts to in a year is staggering.
So one of the things to help streamline your efficiency and maintain your sanity is we're going to talk about your electronic leash. That's right, your phone. It is amazing how dumb smartphones make our communication. So I always do this whenever I'm giving this presentation. Since we started this presentation, I have 3 text messages, 5 emails, and 2 missed calls just since we started this presentation. And I always pull it out just because I think it's hilarious. But oftentimes, smartphones make for very incomplete communication because we feel like the information is always available to us. So one of the things my brother and I have started to do is we keep an idea pad by our side. And that way we're not picking up our phone or looking at our phone every time it beeps or chimes or anything like that. And if we have something that comes to our mind, we just write it down. That way we can get it out of our head and make sure we don't forget it, commit it to paper, and then focus on the person or the task at hand. Another thing that we started doing is we stopped giving out our mobile phone number. So Ryan and I as an owner do not give out our mobile phone numbers. It's not on our business card. It's not on any of our advertising. All of our calls go to a central answering service that is local to Cincinnati. I'm sure they could probably do anywhere, and I'm sure there's something similar in your area. But it's phenomenal. They answer all our phones and they schedule all our appointments, and it's absolutely amazing. And what they do is they root out a lot of the people that claim to be my friend from high school or whatever that don't have my cell phone number, which in this day and age is just hysterical. So consider doing that.
So what other things are in your way? One of the things that we see constantly, right? And it's sometimes even in our own work when it's been a challenging day or whatever is email. Email can be the ultimate way to look busy. We like to call it productive procrastination. Yeah, that's a late night DJ voice we've been working on. So 9 times out of 10, email can wait. I try to check mine early in the morning just to make sure there's nothing smoldering that's going to find me by surprise later. And then I let it simmer for the day and try to focus on that later in the day when I've exhausted myself on my key tasks and don't burn up my best energy returning a bunch of emails that don't demand my best. And we have a whole series of friends here that we love that are in business that we get to share this ride with here locally. We have a very amazing business community here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And one of our friends here, Don Kennedy, says something, he's been saying this to us for years. He's like, the idea of you returning an email in the morning is so much different than you returning one in the afternoon. The morning email, it's spelled correctly, it's poetic, it's prose and poetry, and it's grammatically correct. And the afternoon email, the afternoon equivalent, looks a lot like a ransom note. Please send money now. And that's just to kind of illustrate, that sometimes you can spend your best you can be busy spending a lot of your best energy on something that other people can do or that doesn't bring you the best return. And here's one more thing. Stop tempting others and yourself, but stop tempting others with email as well. We are G Suite users. We love Google, the Google platform. More on that later. But schedule send. If it's not something that needs to be known now, schedule send it. I remember sending an email once, and as I was kind of walking back through the office, and I saw everybody on my way out check their phones. And I realized that I just interrupted their day, and we had one of our people that was engaged in a really complicated quote with a lot of math. And I realized that we just interrupted him. So schedule send all those things that really don't need to be looked at right away.
So we're going to talk a little bit about people and customers right now. So do you work for the yes? Chances are you probably do. You're probably a people pleaser.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, I am. Ask me how I know, because I see one in the mirror every time I look in the mirror. And it's a great thing. It's a great thing to want to help people and be the best you can for people until it isn't. So our clients love me. I'm not trying to be whatever about it. But one of the things that we have had to do so often as we've gone on in business is choose our clients wisely. And the quantity of our no's determines the quality of our yeses. And what I mean by this, a perfect example is a few years ago, my brother was like, hey, Chase, we're going to start charging for quotes. I want to do this. It's just going to be a small fee, but we're going to charge to go out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the end. I'm packing up. I'm going to have to go back to selling shoes. Like, this is never going to work. And it actually has worked amazingly. It's added an extra stream of revenue. It's rooted out people that are what we call like tire kickers that don't ever actually want to hire you. And it's allowed us a lot of freedom, and it's changed our business completely.
And you went broke selling shoes too, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I have big feet, a lot of material.
So the other question we would ask is, are you in the way? Commitment and conflict is the not so silent killer. What do we mean by that? Well, we all have those situations in life and business that are really, really tense. And you got to find a way to kind of diffuse those a little bit, so that way you can be clear about expectations, communications. One of the ways that we do that, we have a very complicated exercise that we like to call the BBC legal pad exercise. And it is so complicated, in fact, that all you need is an empty legal pad. And it goes a little something like this. We will sit in front of the person, say a client that, maybe we've missed a communication or, we messed something up. And we will just sit down with that person and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I am sorry if, I'm here because I want to listen. So I've got this blank legal pad, and with your permission, what I would like to do is just listen to everything you have to say. I'm not going to interrupt. I'm going to wait till you're completely done, because what you have to say is incredibly important to me, and I don't want to miss anything. And then when you're done, I'd like to just kind of repeat back what I've heard. Is that okay with you? And to this point in time, we've never had anybody refuse that, have we, bro? So one of the things that we do, what this allows us to do, is when you're really mad and, sometimes in a tense situation, it allows you to hold something, which is good, and be able to do something, because a lot of times in conflict, we don't always agree with the information that's coming our way, right? So sometimes it's just a tactile thing that you can kind of hold on to, which is good. And again, you're just taking and listening notes. This works 80% of the time because we don't interrupt. And one of the things we don't do is we don't defend ourselves. We don't try to defer blame or deflect, and we don't respond emotionally. We just listen. And one of the things that we have noticed is Chase and I love to do this. Like, how do we know it's working? How do we know this thing is working? Well, our litmus test for this, and you will watch it happen when you do this, we promise you, is Mr. and Mrs. Smith will just unload on you, absolutely unload on you. And they'll start to talk a little more slowly and a little bit more quietly. And then they'll quickly realize that, and you'll watch it happen. You'll watch their expression change on their face. They will start repeating themselves. Why did they do that? Because they realized in their head, and you watch it happen, that it really wasn't that serious. It could have been handled with a phone call. You didn't have to drive across town and miss your kid's soccer practice to come over here and meet with the Smiths. This could have been handled tomorrow, and they just realized it. So again, this thing has gotten us through 80% of, at least 80% of the 10 situations that we've had around here.
And how many people there, and I want to see some hands raised, how many people have a client they can think of that makes their blood pressure raise, that makes their heart pound in their chest? We have a few. We have like a top 5 list, but the one I'm thinking of specifically right now, her name was Sarah, and she was completely unlovely. But what I learned from that scenario was I responded emotionally because, and this ties back into the people pleaser thing, because I'm a people pleaser. What I did was, in the time of conflict, I wanted to help, and I made promises that I fully intended to keep. But because I was not as informed as I should have been and not talked to my crew member before I did it, I made promises that I thought we could keep that we didn't end up being able to keep, which made her more and more angry. And that really, really, hurt us a lot. And so to make sure you're communicating effectively, we develop a written plan. And what we have started to do, we take that 80-20 rule. We write everything down on a notebook, so we're not typing away on a computer or on our phone while somebody's talking to us. And we say, listen, I'm going to go back to the office and I'm going to develop a written plan after I talk to everybody I need to talk to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that list in JobTread. Mm-hmm. And what that does is it allows them to, it says, hey, the client was upset about this. We're going to do this, this, and this in this order. And it's all in JobTread, so every single person on the job can see it. And that really allows for a lot of clarity. And that way, if there's any ambiguity, the client can say, oh, no, I wanted this, that, or the other. And you can even put it in a signature line, do it as a change order, and put in a signature line, a $0 change order. It's gold. It's amazing. It works so well. And in all this, you need to ask yourself, too, if you're the right person to be solving the problem. So in this particular instance, it should have been myself in the background and my crew leader solving the problem with this person. But instead, as the owner, I stepped in and was like, hey, I'm going to fix this. And we didn't do that right. The second thing is to fire clients when necessary. Now, you want to do this very, very sparingly. But this is one of the things that, since we've started doing what we call the comprehensive project evaluation fee, it's a $250 fee to see the client. This allows us some time to get a feasibility study to see how person is going to behave, right? And if this is the kind of person that's calling you at 11 o'clock at night about the color of their door pulls, this might not be the kind of person that you want to work for, or that you want to work with. And what we are able to do so often, it gives us that time period to kind of date. And then what we have done in the past is it gives you a tool to send them back that money and say, hey, listen, we've decided that culturally we're not a fit, whatever, you set my house on fire, whatever it is, we're not a fit. And we're going to send you back your fee, and you can keep everything that we've given you. And it creates a very, very clean separation from the client and saves you a lot of time. And for those of us over 40 here, a lot of gray hair.
Maybe not so clean if the house was set on fire.
True. Less clean. It's less clean.
Less clean. Okay. So hopefully some of you get to check this video out. I promise we have looks for radio. So, but if you are able to look at this on the video or check out the slides, you will see what we presented at JobTread Connect. So this is an actual shot of my journal here. We are an EOS, a company that runs on EOS. I love EOS. I carry the journal with me everywhere. My brother makes fun of me. It's a great combination, but it's an actual kind of a little tiny snapshot of my journal. And why is that important? Well, one of the reasons we say have an idea pad, right? And have something analog is because your phone will interrupt you and it can lead you down the rabbit hole of the next task with the next ding or bong or whatever sound it makes. So sometimes having something that doesn't talk back at you is everything you need in life. So one of the questions that you probably already know the answers to is like, do you ask other people in your life to be prepared? Well, the answer is of course, as a leader or a business owner, of course you do that. So the idea is that we should show up prepared every single day for what we are going to do. So you kind of see here in my journal, I've got kind of three sections. You'll see the right section is kind of my prayers in the morning. This is what's on the top of my head. This is the first thing I do every morning, or at least every morning of every day that goes well. There might be a pattern there. And then you'll kind of see I do have my calendar electronically, but I write it out again just to kind of keep it in my head. And then I have an area off to the far left that's a little bit cut off, but it just is that area for I'm the visionary of between the two of us. I get those lightning bolt ideas constantly. I have to write those down, or I get interrupted or whatever. I have to write those down. So that's where that goes. So we always say make time to think, right? But we're gonna one up you on that just a little bit. In addition to making time to think, we're going to challenge you to say make space to think. So you've got some ideas of what we're talking about, but find somewhere where you can't be interrupted for a little while, whether that's just a coffee place down the road, close yourself behind a door, I don't know, maybe in a closet with a sippy cup full of wine. I don't know what that looks like for you, but the idea is don't feel guilty about it. Get it done. And close the door and do what only you can do. And here's one of those litmus tests we got coming up, right, Chase?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, how do you know you're on track? How do you know it's working? Well, you know because you immediately get challenged, right? That's how you know everything works. Anybody here who is a pet parent, a parent, an uncle, a grandma, a grandpa, whatever, fill in the blank, a teacher, doesn't the first exception always come walking through the door when you lay down the law, right? We say, we can't do this anymore. Doesn't the first exception always walk through the door? So just, again, do this. Don't feel guilty about it, and know when you're challenged and they're trying to pry out of that closet that it's actually working, and keep doing it. You have to focus on the work that only you can do. Why? Because only you can do it. And that is the highest and best use of your time. So you simply can't be available all the time. Here's a hint. If you are available all the time and everything has to go through you, you're that important, you're the bottleneck of your own company. Oh, so sorry. It's still me.
It's
sorry.
still you.
I thought it was your slide.
It's fine.
Let's get back to me.
I planned ahead.
So journaling. We kind of talked about this a little bit. I do journal every day. I do my prayers every morning. Our sister gave me a book called Gratitude Diaries a few years ago. Absolutely changed my life. I've been journaling pretty much every day since, for about 4 or 5 years now. And one of the things that we have heard said, and we think it to be true, is gratitude leads to abundance. Why? Well, probably just because you're more aware. You're more aware, you're in a better frame of mind, and you're more aware of your resources. You're looking around. If you're miserable and looking down, or you are looking around to try to see what you're grateful for, those are two very different pictures of the same space. And you have a totally different outlook based on that. And the way that this particular journal is set up is you set it up and you run your plan, you check it write it down, the day before you leave or the week before, whatever, get everything set up. And then you review it at the end of the day to see how you did. In this particular one has spots where you re-review it every week and every 90 days to go back and see how you did. Here's one other little thing that we did that really kind of changed things around here in the office is plan to be present. We all know that something is going to come up today, right? Something is going to be on fire. Something is not going to go to plan. So we actually put between like a half hour and an hour and a half every day, everybody here in the office of margin time. That's just time that's for whatever's going to come up because we know it is. So why overschedule ourselves, right?
So getting stuff done through you. So what a great time of year to talk about credit cards, right? So
Yeah.
how many of us there have gotten the credit card statement in January and be like, oh, what the hell did I spend so much money on for Christmas, right? Well, so often we have found that we spend and other people in our lives spend time like they use a credit card, right? We pay now, play now, we'll pay later, right? And so that goes into that same thing about those blocks of time. So one of those tools, like my brother said, is margin time, and that works phenomenally. The other thing too is I put the same things in my schedule. We again use Google Calendar every week. So I do I do payroll and a couple other things. So every single week it just repeats in my calendar. So I know that time is already spent long before I get there. And it allows us to move things around. And this is another area where the quantity of our no's determines the quality of our yeses, right? And sometimes you have to say no to the good things so you can say yes to the great things.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as entrepreneurs and stuff, there's always somebody calling us with the next great opportunity. If I said yes to 1 out of 10 things that people call me about, I'd be broke in a week. And the other thing that has really helped in our office, especially, is because everybody can see everyone's calendars, other people respect your space, right? And they're not coming in with something that can wait, and they say, oh, I can ask him on margin time, or I can ask him on lunchtime because he's working on payroll right now. I can't go in there right now. It's not allowed. So there's a lot of other people to respect space.
Okay.
This is me.
Oh, it's still you.
It's still me. Yeah. We switch it up. So in order for our organizational system to work, you have to run across it multiple times a day, right? And this is where, what we're dyed in the wool JobTread people, and I've got to ask after this is over, Casey, you got to tell us, are JobTread people, are they affectionately known as like treaders or jobbies or JTs or something like that? I don't know. I got to have an answer to that question because I just happened to think about it in this meeting. So we'll hold that to the end because I want to wait. But you have to run across your organizational system multiple times a day. And one of the things that we do at Biehl Brothers is any of our admin stuff, we put it up in, we have an admin job, right? And so like all our documents that we need, like for all the employees, like our employee handbook and everything, every single year goes into that. If there's a memo or something that everybody has to be able to refer to or a standard operating procedure, they know they can go to admin. Mm-hmm. Every week we upload our work schedule to admin so everybody can see that and it has high visibility, and that makes it very portable. Also, remember, you manage with your model, right? So if you're late, you allow your people to be late. Ask yourself, is an assistant in order? There are so many amazing assistants out there, both virtual and real, that can take some of these tasks from you that might be data entry or other things that you can do, but other people can do them more efficiently, and that can help you. And the other thing is, can you schedule your phone consultations? As I talked about the answering service we had earlier, they schedule our phone consultations for everyone in the office. So they answer the phone, and they say, oh, okay, you want to talk about an addition. Well, Ryan has some time, 3:00 on Tuesday, if you want to talk to them. And they immediately put it in there with all the information. It's amazing. And it cuts down so much on the amount of time that my brother's on the phone taking in information that someone else can do. And he gives somebody else an opportunity to make money and do a job.
Okay, so our weapon outside of JobTread, right? Our weapon of choice is the Google Calendar. We've got everybody on the office pretty much engaged in the C-suite, and we use it as much as we humanly can for as much as we can. Like my brother was saying, when you have a populated calendar, it makes life really easy. You'll see a snapshot of one of our calendars of one of our salespeople up on the screen here on the slides, and what you'll see is everything's kind of in a box. There's this much time to work on quotes, this much time for phone conversations, and that sort of thing. And one of the things that allows you to do is like, it's a pick three game, right? You either do it, you defer it, or you delegate it. And because it's all in a little box, if you can't do it right now, you can defer it to a later time. You can move it to next week or whatever very, very easily. Again, without getting engaged in the time credit card, where you're just simply moving it without a real plan. It takes up physical space in your calendar, so you will not be overscheduling yourself, or delegate it. Sometimes the best question to ask is who, not how. The other thing we do with Google Calendar is we have our clients engage with this, our entire team, our crew, and even to some extent, our trade partners. So everybody gets a really clear picture between JobTread and our Google Calendar of exactly what's going on around here. And, the idea that we want to leave you with here is max out your systems, not your work. The calendar capabilities are amazing. So the next slide kind of shows a little snippet. Next two slides actually show a snippet of something that we realized was we were just getting really wrong. So quick backstory, we had a big job cancel. It was going to take up weeks and weeks and weeks. And we're like, oh, well, we'll just move some of these other jobs up. Well, we figured out we had to coin a term at that point called unactionable inventory, because we had a bunch of projects sold, but the problem is we didn't have permits ready. We didn't have drawings ready. We didn't, and not only did we not have them ready, but we didn't know where we were at in the process. So what we did is, in these next two slides deal with that, is we want to make sure that, everybody kind of knows that, drywall and paint and, all that sort of thing kind of has an order. But one of the things we have definitely felt like is the clients are less knowledgeable about the order that things have to go in to be able to get the project ready and in what time frame they need to do them in. So a lot of times the client doesn't have a lot of visibility with that. So when they don't interact with that, they don't know exactly when that needs to be done. And not having a target is the best way to hit nothing, right? So we have developed these pre-job schedules, this pre-production schedule in JobTread, so that way the designers, the trade partners, different members of our team know exactly what's going on and what's going to happen. And that has allowed us to stop surprising everybody with the work that we need to do. And the other thing we notice is every appointment usually creates the need for one more. So whenever we have an appointment here at Biehl Brothers Contracting, we always set the next appointment at the end of that one. So that way we are disciplined in keeping the ball rolling. It helps everybody be on the same page. And again, this is just another screenshot. This slide shows you exactly how we have assigned out to our trade partners some of the different pre-production stages that we have in all of our projects, and allows us, there's a lot of talk in our industry about getting projects done on time. But it's interesting to us, we notice that nobody ever talks about getting to the project on time, and how a lot of times that really is one of the biggest moments that sets the tone with your client for how they feel about you before you even start. Is, can you reliably get there when you said you were going to?
Getting stuff done through you. So how to make meetings more effective. So it is amazing to me when I think back in the past. We used to have just a much smaller staff. We had one salesman, and I remember our weekly sales meeting, we had like 2 jobs going on at the same time. Now it's closer to 8. And we had one sales meeting. It would take upwards of 2.5 hours with one salesperson. So just makes me laugh when I see this. But so one of the biggest things you can do is, sorry, something popped up on my computer. Okay, is time them. So we're EOS people, like my brother said. So we do what we call a level 10 meeting, and every level 10 meeting is an hour and a half or less. And it's the same amount of time for every single meeting. It's the same time every week. And this goes back to allowing people and letting people know what time they have available to them and what they don't. And there's no exceptions. And also at the end of every single meeting, we circle around with any issues we had and say, okay, you've got this. And then that person says, yes, I've got this. So this person is going to solve this issue. So you know that it's clearly delegated. And another thing that we love to do that I do this in everything. So any phone call I make with a client, anybody who's trying to come in here and get a job, or especially any meeting that I have, any time commitment I have an agenda. And I have that very clearly laid out for anybody I interact with, so they can kind of get the pulse. And that also reduces their anxiety if they have questions or something like that. Like, okay, I know we're going to get to the questions because it's written down on the agenda. And that really cuts down on overwhelm for people, and it cuts down on misdirection. So, and I'm sure nobody else here has ever had this, but here at Biehl Brothers, we've had people that go off on a rabbit trail when they're in a meeting with 8 people about something that has nothing to do with what you're talking about. And you got to be careful with that. And this allows us to focus on what is the real priority versus what is enjoyable or what's just at the forefront of our mind right now. And often in the trades, what we've experienced that people both in the field and in the office do, but it's more visible in the field, like when the production guys, sometimes when they feel unproductive, they'll open more cans and try to do different things if they do things out of order to feel more productive. And what it actually does is slow them down. And this is a lot harder to track in an office setting, but it happens just the same. There we go. So this is an example of our agenda again for our scheduling meeting every week. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. One of the things I want to stress is from the 7 to 7:15 is personal and professional updates. So in this meeting, we have between 6 and 8 of us every week. And what this has done is we go around and say, hey, what's going on with you? 1 minute, personal and professional, like what's going on? And it's really allowed people to engage and trust each other and say, okay, well, this is really going on in my life. This great thing happened to me. I'm getting married. I'm having a kid. I'm getting divorced, all these wonderful things. Or if there's something on their mind, they say, oh man, I'm just not feeling good today, or that happened or that happened. And allows the office and anybody you're in the meeting with to be much more connected to each other emotionally. And also, if somebody is having a bad day, you kind of know why, and you can kind of be sensitive to that. We've found that to be very, very helpful. And then if you look at the bottom, there's the issues to discuss. And this is where I was talking about at the end of the meeting, I would say, okay, you've got this, right? And they would say, yes, I've got this. And then that way we know that this task has been delegated to them and we can move on and clear our minds, and we'll touch base on it next week.
Successful transfer.
And in so many things, documentation beats conversation. When was the last time you were even asked if you were qualified to do the job you're on? It's not like I've never pulled up and had a homeowner, unless they were an engineer. Engineers will do that sometimes, but they don't give you a test. They don't ask if you're qualified most of the time. They don't ask for our insurance information anymore most of the time. Every now and again I will, and we have it. But it's just really funny. What we're really judged on is the process, the outcome, and the service. And if any one of these is incomplete, it ruins the whole thing. My brother makes this example a lot about, like, if you go to something as simple as you go to a restaurant and you sit down and nobody ever comes to take your order, they make you wait 15 minutes to take your order and you're already irritated long before they even get there. And your food could be amazing, or if the waiter or waitress never shows up again and they disappear to Siberia and you're like, my drink's empty, like what's going on? Or they bring you delicious French fries, but they don't have any salt on them. And you're like, man, it's just these simple things that really dramatically affect our overall process that makes or breaks you.
So what is the best part of a process? And I can't believe that we went from absolutely zero processes, you and I, to geeks over processes. We actually love them now, which is, yeah, he's pointing at me. So what is the best product? What is the best part of the process? Well, I'll tell you, it allows others to contribute and have the details to do so. So most of us are in the trades, right? And one of the best things about owning a pickup truck, right, for a lot of us is you always get called to help move somebody, right? Well, what always, I always say, like, picture yourself going to that house, you're going to help your buddy move or whatever. And he or she has this giant dining room table, this giant heavy dining room table. A process is the dining room table. A process is the square edges of that table. And what that does is it allows 4 or 5 or 6 people to be able to grab that defined square edge and lift. That's what a process is. That's why it's so magical, is because it allows everybody to see where they can fit around the table and lift. So think of that when you decide that you want to start making some changes in your business. And I think you'll maybe look at this a little bit differently. But one of the things that we do to start driving process here at Biehl Brothers Contracting is we start with our clients. I did sales in our industry or in our business for a long time. And one of the things I am a fan of is giving clients homework. If you take time to go out and meet a client, there should be a reciprocal agreement, and you have to set that pace. You're the only one that can do it. So you are going to give them a quote or a design or whatever that is. You need to ask for something. So this is where we start giving clients homework. The client is responsible for uploading pictures to JobTread because we need to know that they can use it. They need to upload drawings or a site plan, blueprints, napkin sketches. It doesn't matter. Pictures of their dog, their vacation, which we've all had them do that. If we know somebody's going on vacation, we tell them to upload pictures of their vacation because we want to be a part of that. But it gets them engaged in the process. And guess what? While they're engaged in our process, they're not getting other bidders. So that's where we start. We show them our process through JobTread, and we have a couple of handouts. We show them what the process is that they're going to go through. And we use all this information, and we use this to stay on the same page as the client. Oh, this one's you.
It is me. And we put it all in writing, right? And again, just like the dump truck of blessings or time isn't going to show up, this is something you got to do a little bit at a time. And this is another area where you can put an admin tab in JobTread and just make notes there if you want, or just keep a living document there. That's one of the best places to do it. Or a Google Doc, that's amazing too, where we've had that where we were like, hey, I've got an idea between myself, my brother, and our 2 leaders of our company. We say, hey, what about this? And we just throw it up there, and then people can comment on it and add to it. Create yourself an organizational chart, right? So this says, this is what this seat does. This is the hierarchy, who reports to who. And one of the big mistakes that we've made that we had, we actually put this in our employee handbook, I'm ashamed to say, but we put people's names in our employee handbook, like talk to Eric instead of talking to this person in this position. So Eric was a guy who was a great carpenter, but he also was a gifted photographer, and he would do our job photography. And we wrote him into the handbook, and then he decided to take a position with another company. And now we have this crazy position that we can't fill. And also we have his name in our handbook, and the new people came on, it's like, who's Eric? Like, this is weird. So always have seats with responsibilities listed, and then you can put the names on top of that so they can be moved around. Don't organize your company around the current people you have. And another thing to do is find people that are smarter than you. I don't necessarily always mean this literally, but there are certain people that have different giftings than you. And one of the ones for myself is every year when our insurance renewal comes, I have to read that entire packet of paper, and I have to sit on the porch to keep myself awake. I find it so nauseatingly boring. It's awful. I literally would rather watch paint dry. So find people. We have a gal in our office who loves editing documents. It's amazing. She has a passion for it. She enjoys it. She does it with a smile on her face. And I'm happy to delegate that and to give somebody an opportunity to do something they are great at that I don't want to do anyway.
And, to dovetail for what you were just saying, Chase, the idea is here today. Let's all make a commitment right here, right now, that we're going to achieve mastery through others. Again, start asking who and stop asking how so much. Don't be the clog in the pipe by trying to be your own best everything. Look for ways to incorporate other people and help elevate them in their position in their life by putting them in positions where they can contribute and make a difference. And Chase and I, again, we're nerds about more things than one. And this always makes me think of superheroes, right? Like if you could pick, people would say this all the time, if you could pick a superhero power, what would you pick? Would you pick, eyeball lasers or being able to turn invisible or whatever? Like, yeah, all those things are cool. But what's really cool? The superpower that we think you should actually want is the ability to ask great questions, the ability to ask great questions and stop answering them all. Just sit back, take in the information, and start asking the people around you instead of trying to be the answer for everyone.
Also, you want to make sure you appreciate your employees, your coworkers, or if you're not one of the owners here today, appreciate the people who are your in upper management or the owners or whatever. A little bit of that goes a long way. And one of the ways that we do that at Biehl Brothers is every single Friday we have an all hands meeting in our office. And so all the production guys, the sales staff, everybody's out there. And the first thing we do is myself and my brother and our two managers stand up in front of everybody, get carnival tickets, and we say, okay, well, this person, you stayed late today. Thank you for staying late. Hey, thanks for, we had one guy that shoveled the driveway the other day when it snowed. Didn't even ask him to, he just shoveled it. And it was amazing. We had another guy that shoveled the driveway for his elderly client, and she had to get to this dinner that she was really looking forward to going to. And it had snowed and she was terrified. And she's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get out. And it was just amazing that he did that for her. And she was able to go to that. And when you do that and you give people honest recognition in front of their peers, it really, really goes a long way. And your culture will absolutely save you or make your life miserable or break your company. And we've kind of been through all that, up the highs and lows. But one of the things that, when we've experienced adversity, we've been able to count on and rely upon the loyalty of our people to help us get through tough times. There's been several very, very difficult decisions my brother and I have had to make. And we've called certain people in the field and we said, hey, you've had experience with this before. What should I know that I don't know? Mm-hmm. And they've guided us and helped us. And it's been incredible. It's been an incredible journey.
Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap this up, and this has been a ton of fun. And here are the bullet points we love to leave people with every time we do this. So, big one here, ready? What not to do. What not to do when you get done with this is change it all. Don't go to the next place or tomorrow and decide that you're going to change all of this right away. It takes time. It takes time, and you'll do your best work again when you make the time to do it and do those steps we talked about. Find a place and do this because nobody else can do this but you. The other thing is, don't do it all yourself. Start asking who, not how. And one of the things we say around here all the time is we live in a world of this or that, that's termed binary thinking. Things are not yes or no, one or the other all the time. Just because, especially when it comes to creating processes and things like that, just because you can't get it all done today is not an excuse not to start. We are looking for progress over perfection here, and we are just looking for everybody to start, and you'll build your way to freedom.
So we have at Biehl Brothers a couple of isms, a couple of sayings we all use, and one of them is the rule of three, right? And if we hear the same thing from three different sources, we always make it a point to talk about it. It's not like we have to wait for that to happen, like, oh, I didn't hear it 3 times. But that's one of the things we always perk our ears up to and say, you know what, 3 different people have told us this from 3 different places. We really need to make sure that we discuss this. The second thing is you manage what you model. You know, if you're late or if you say things you're not supposed to say, the people in your organization will do that as well. What is driving the change? Ask yourself, what is driving change? Is it ignorance? Is it insecurity? Is it some other reason? Why is this? Why are we changing? And making sure we're not changing for an emotional reason or from a lack of information.
And again, where will it go? Please put something in the comments here. We want to know where you're going to take this. We hope, again, you leave here inspired to change and not collect a dusty notebook or whatever that is. So the challenge here right now is we want you to fall in love with the process, not the outcome. It's the equivalent of going to the gym and wanting 6-pack abs. Like, the first time you go to the gym, you're not going to get results. What are you going to get? You're going to get sore, right? So the only way that we have found to get to the outcome is to fall in love with the process. And what that process is, what we talked about today. The process is simply making 1% little compounding changes every single day. And you know what? You'll stay at overwhelm that day too. And this is very, very simple. And if you haven't done it, take some time to do that, but automate what you can through JobTread and Zapier, through Google calendars, anything that you can automate so you can use your best brain power for the things that actually matter is what we want you to do. Plan and schedule harder than you work.
All right. Now it's time for questions, and we summon Casey back. You have all your expression and your great grin back, bud.
Hey, I'm trying. I'm trying over here. I feel like you guys gave a lot to grin about, man. I think it's such an important thing to have great processes and to be thinking both about your clients and your own organizations. And I think that you guys gave a lot of really, really helpful, thoughtful nuggets that I think a lot of people can really think about. And I think, process. I liked where you were talking about just taking time to think and decompress. I think what a helpful reminder that sometimes we just need to slow down and give ourselves space to actually process and not operate full on just like problem solving mode where we're just literally just incessantly tackling some task. So what I do want to do though is I want to toss it out to you guys. I will say that you guys were so good that people were just listening. Does anybody have any questions for the Biehl Bros? I feel like you guys need a Mario Brothers themed logo, kind of offshoot. Just call it the Biehl Bros. I feel like there's something in there.
I work with it. There's a thing there. You can call me whatever you want, bud.
I love it. Melanie said, good webinar, very insightful takeaway points to think about. Love seeing brothers in the business. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's okay. Here we go. Brett had a question. He put it over into the webinar chat. You guys, at this point, it's okay if you want to toss them into the webinar chat. But Brett says, what tech tools, scanning spaces for takeoffs, new AI tools to streamline your proposal process are you guys using?
Oh man, you want to hear the coolest thing ever? If you're not doing this yet, so we fell in love with both the people of Render and Render itself at JobTread Connect. I think the very first JobTread Connect we came to, and now we have integrated we have integrated render into JobTread. So the coolest thing ever, where we look like space age heroes, is we can go to whatever project it is, the Bosager project or whatever, and we can go down that bottom left-hand corner now that we've got those two connected and hit the render button now at the bottom, and we can talk our clients through, if they have that iPhone with the 3 cameras on the back, we can talk our clients through rendering their own space. So again, one of the things in the chat was, where are these who's? Where are these who's? I can't find any who's. The who's are not necessarily somebody that you employ. Allow your client to be part of the solution, because otherwise they're in a process they don't know anything about anyway. So engage them in helping you solve these problems, so they get some of that excitement, they get some of that buy-in with what you're doing. But the render and the JobTread connection has been the most recent fun one we've done.
All right. I love that. Brett has a follow-up, says, is it better than Hover? Both have native upload capability. Have you guys utilized Hover?
We've used Hover in the past, and we haven't, at least it seemed to us it was more geared towards people who work on outdoor spaces when we were using it. So the application for us to map out an inside space wasn't as prevalent when we were using it. So we just kind of stuck with render when we found it.
And so many things, so many tools. I would say, I came from a music background. I did a lot of music when I was younger, and we used gear in the same way that a lot of our contractors will use different softwares or different tools. And some of it's just trying things out, figuring out what works for you, what works well in your process, what seems like a you solution, because everything could be a solution to the right person, but sometimes it's about you finding the solution that really does work for you. So, yeah, great. Anybody else have any other questions? Brett came in with a couple of them. Love them. Musician here as well. I concur. Yeah, we realized this whenever we were kind of chatting and getting to know each other yesterday, or I guess last week, that we had some guitars in the background, and so we have a whole band here, man. Maybe that needs to be our band name, not just what we call the JobTread users. We'll call ourselves the Tread Heads.
Yeah,
with the Z.
Oh my God.
Heads with a Z. It's funny, whenever we jumped into JobTread Connect last year, which again, I want to throw this out to you. I know the Biehls can't be there this year. That was my first week at JobTread on staff, was at Connect. And so literally I am learning the software, the community. I'm learning who my coworkers are. They're like, yeah, go see, Travis. And I'm like, that's the main customer success guy, right? And they're like, yeah, that's who that is. And so I was jumping in, but I learned so much about the software. But just as Ryan said a second ago, as he connected with who was it that you said that you connected with at JobTread? You mentioned it earlier, and it just slipped my mind.
One of the owners of Render, I think it was the last.
Yeah, that's exactly who it was. Is the opportunity to get to meet some incredible users, but also some great vendors, and to really build out a community, like you guys said that you guys had locally there in Cincinnati, that can really kind of come around you and learn from one another and share. Connect is not just about the JobTread software. That is a place where you will learn how other people are using it, how we encourage you to use it, but you're also going to get a chance to just meet some other incredible people who are doing great work that you can learn from and compare notes. Eric, at last year, his big keynote talk, the title for it was "The Rising Tide Lifts All Boats," and we really believe in that. And I came from a ministry background where purpose was so much a part of my job, and being able to be at a place like JobTread where what you're doing is helping people, salt of the earth, hardworking people succeed. It was just a great reminder that it doesn't have to be competitive where we're like trying to get one over on one another. We can actually all do good work together and help one another learn. And so Biehl Bros, registered trademark. I'm really thankful for you guys for joining us for the Pro Spotlight. Close it out the year, the final Pro Spotlight. So thank you guys for kind of slamming the door shut this year on our Pro Spotlight. But also want to thank everybody here for jumping in. Thank you for being a part of this community. Tammy, do you have a question? I see you raised your hand. If you have a question, pop it over into the chat. But if not, again, I do want to thank you guys for being a part of the Pro Spotlight. Thank everybody that has come for your attention, for your time. We know that it's valuable. You guys are doing incredible work, as I mentioned earlier, building our world. And so thank you for taking the time to be here with this community to get to hear from the Biehl Bros. And we're excited about the future for your business, guys. And then for everyone within our JobTread ecosystem, we really want you guys to succeed. And it's our pleasure to get to play a small role in that by doing things like that and bringing the wisdom of some of our great users to the broad JobTread base. So thank you guys so very much. Thank you, Jeanette. Appreciate you guys. I want to give one last shout out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The clock is ticking down. Does anybody have any other questions before we throw it to you? There you go, Jeanette. I will say this, Biehl Brothers, do you have any last thoughts or anything that you want to kind of throw out to anybody? If anybody wanted to connect with you, what would be a great way for them to be able to connect with you? And if they had any follow-up questions in the future, what would be a great way for them to do that?
I think the biggest thing for me that Chase and I are always sensitive to is, and again, why you come to JobTread Connect, but also on another level too, like we don't want anybody to feel alone. Like they have to be able to do this alone, figure it out alone, because alone can be a really, really miserable place. And, that ends up in a hospital bed. And we are sensitive to that because we've lived it. We've found every pothole in this road face first and invented a few new ones. So, our emails, I'd be really happy if you want to put our emails up there, because that's one of the things that Chase and I love to do. And we do a lot of here locally, is just be there for people like other people were for us. Pay it forward.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's what this is all about. Being able to share, being able to grow together, being able to see your businesses succeed. So again, thank you guys so much for being a part of the JobTread community. We really do. I'm sure you guys have seen Eric, our CEO, post about it, but we really value you guys and your businesses. We want you to succeed. We don't, one of the things that I tell people in our trainings all the time is we're not software people hawking software to construction people. We are construction people who happen to work at a software company to help other construction people. And so we've been where you are. I was a project manager for 2 years. And so I've experienced the really good things about working in construction. And I've experienced what having bad systems and bad, processes in place can really do for people like me. I wasn't the owner. I was just the lowly project manager, and not having good processes, made my life so frustrating. So thank you guys so much for being willing to share so that other people can learn from the things that you know. So, Biehl Bros, appreciate you guys, man. You guys have been a treat. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Pro Spotlight. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you guys in the new year. Check out our website, jobtread.com/connect. Come visit us. You still have time to sign up and get tickets. So, all right, everybody. Bye, guys.
Love you. Love your show. Stay free.